Hello, I'm Senior Master Sergeant Jackson. Welcome to South Carolina Wing Encampment Brief 2025. I'd like to welcome all parents, guardians, cadets, students, cadet cadre, and senior members that are interested to see what this week looks like in advance. A few things I want to cover. We're going to talk about the 8 days, the specific things we're covering, the packing list. The packing list is very, very important. Please pay attention to that. This is where a lot of cadets find themselves getting in trouble because they don't bring the right stuff to encampment. Check-in process. Remember, we're doing this on a military base, so it's going to be a little different, right? And of course, our favorite part is graduation. So this here is the motto for the encampment. And as you notice, we're addressing 4 areas, right? Physical fitness, leadership, character development, and aerospace. So let's go on with the week first. Okay, day one, this is your in-processing day. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by reading the slides out to you. So they're going to get acclimated. They're going to get their safety briefings. They're pretty much going to get adjusted, assigned to their flights and such. Next day, there's going to be church services in the morning. However, cadets have the opportunity, if they want not to go to church services, to go to a character development class instead, okay? Again, we're starting with inspections, aerospace, the rest of it. So they're getting a sample of what's going to happen that week. Day three, the intensity level here is still relatively high, all right? Keeps the cadets focused, but there's obviously a myriad of all those things that we're going to be focusing on and training on. And then, of course, day four, look at the top left. That's some cadets working on a leadership problem. We like to have a lot of our training to be interactive, right? Top right is aerospace. We have a lot of quality instructors that are going to be talking about their experiences in the military or even in aviation. Okay, so this is an important day for a lot of the cadets. They're gelling at this juncture, and we're going to reward them with a flight on a C-17. Okay, that'll be a great opportunity for a lot of them to be in the inside of a military aircraft and check that out. Okay, look at the top left. That helicopter belongs to the museum on base, so we're going to actually see the museum on base. This is, of course, Thursday. Physical fitness training, as you can see, inspections continue, but we're going to introduce them to the MRE, all right? And we'll give an option for a bag lunch if they don't want to eat it. Okay, this is Friday. Practicing for rehearsal, of course, for graduation, but there's going to be a barbecue. We're going to have some pool time for the cadets. Don't worry, we're going to have lifeguards there, and I'm going to have a social in the evening after the barbecue, all right? So this is sort of Friday. Cadets have pretty much passed the course. We're sort of rounding things out in a positive way. And then, of course, day 8, our favorite day, is graduation day. It also includes our processing, but there'll be a lot of focus as far as cleaning those barracks because we have to actually get them clean for the Army in order for them to let us go. So let's talk about those areas. We're going to be covering 20 hours of leadership, or we're required to cover that. It's actually going to be 25 hours of leadership. They're going to be also 10 hours of aerospace. In reality, we're actually going to be covering 14 hours of aerospace. Physical fitness training. It says we're required to do 8 hours there. We're going to be doing 10 hours of physical fitness training. Notice the individual on the top left of the screen there. That's called drown proofing. It's a method or a way to actually allow your uniform to be turned into a flotation device in a survival situation. It's good training. And of course, afterwards, we're going to have swim. And then we have our character development instruction training. We have some quality instructors. And if you look at the bottom, real-time mentorship. Again, all very interactive, okay? This is a leadership laboratory, all right? We're all going to fail one time or another and stuff like that, but that's okay. We're going to brief them. We're going to get them back. We're going to give them that sense of resiliency, which is so important these days. And again, it says 4 hours there. We're actually given 6. So why did I go over the top as far as the hours required? Well, let's say your cadet has a stomach ache one morning and misses an hour of training on this thing, and maybe something happens, they miss an hour on that thing, all right? With us padding with the extra hours in training, that way they're going to at least get the bare bones requirements. So let's talk about the packing list, right? Let's talk about now, some of these items are going to be worn in there. So, for example, this coat, they're going to require 2 of these ABU blouses. They'll probably be wearing one and have one in their baggage, right? The important thing here is make sure the rank and insignias are on it correctly. 2 pair of trousers, obviously one worn. Tan belt, not just any tan belt. That's called it's a rigger's belt, right? Basically, They're not that expensive, about 10 bucks, all right? Cap, not a baseball cap, a proper ABU military cap. T-shirts, please, let's not have any writing on the t-shirts. We're okay with having logos that are Civil Air Patrol focused or even patriotic, but by and large, we obviously don't want the shirts to have anything that's going to be insulting for anybody to see. Okay, boot socks. This is one that people make mistakes on a lot. You see that picture right there? The boot sock needs to go above the boot or be higher than the boot. And I do this because sometimes we have cadets use ankle socks, all right? And that's not good. It's going to cause real problems as far as blistering. And again, with boot socks, you want to make sure that there's some cushioning in there. And they don't have to be green, but make sure they're above the boots and there's some cushioning. Now the boots, all right? This is a problem sometimes. You can go to Walmart and get a pair of Interceptor boots. The one thing I want you to focus on, the boots need to be 8 inches high. Why do I say that? Some combat boots are only 6 inches high, and the problem with that is that poor cadet is going to spend the whole week, and you look at those trousers of Lieutenant Battle right there. You see how those pant legs are stuffed into the top of those boots? Well, that's called bloused, right? If the boots are not 8 inches or higher, they're going to constantly come out of the tops of the boots, like a set of high top sneakers or something. Okay, the class, our dress blue uniform, short sleeve shirt, white t-shirt, V-neck, all right? Mandatory for males, optional for females. Trousers, of course, blue Air Force issue trousers, hemmed up correctly. And the cap, all right? The important thing about the cap is it comes in male and female versions. Females are allowed to wear both the male and female version. Males can only wear the male version, but make sure also it has that insignia on it. Okay, the tie tab and tie, that's optional. That's probably something that we would like for them to have at the social at the end of the week, but it's not mandatory. We want them to have their military insignias to wear on that uniform, of course. Shoes, okay, basic low quarters, no design on them, no commercial logos on them, not a black pair of sneakers, no. If a female chooses to wear pumps, she may, but the inches can't be more than 3 inches high. The heels can't be more than 3 inches high. Black socks get worn with the shoes, and one exception to that is females, they can wear hosiery. PT uniform, all right, look at the t-shirts, right? No logos on them, okay, just basic plain tan t-shirts. And again, you can have a CAP logo on it, that's fine. Look at the, and it doesn't have to be a tan t-shirt, right? We recommend that. That's what mostly all our cadets wear, as you can see in this picture. It can be black or gray though, but preferably tan. Let's go to the shorts then. If you notice the shorts, they go right to the tops of the kneecap. That's the intent here. We don't like them having short shorts, and they should be black or at least blue, dark blue, okay? Socks, we want athletic socks, preferably white, and then of course a pair of athletic shoes, sneakers, as we say up in the north. Okay, toiletries. Whoa, there's a long list of them right there, right? Towels, we want to make sure that at least have one towel, preferably white. Of course, face cloths, more than one I would recommend. They can have a bar soap or they can have a bottle of liquid soap, okay? But make sure if it's a barred soap, it's inside of a container, a plastic container. Shampoo at least, but they may have shampoo and conditioner. All right, there's a deodorant, toothpaste, you know, the whole shoot match. And of course, if they do shave, a razor and shaving cream. All right, continuing. Insect repellent, comb, brush. For females, hygiene products. We also want them to have foot powder. Preferably have sunscreen at 5+ SPF. Perel or hand sanitizer, very important. Okay, they should have these items on them, right? That's your CAP form 161, and also their Civil Air Patrol ID card. They should have their on their persons at all time. Okay, small notepad that can fit in the cargo pocket. Black ink pen, strongly recommend more than one. And at least a Sharpie or a permanent black marker. Hydration gear does not necessarily have to be a Camelback. They can actually wear a canteen on their hip as long as they have something for the canteen to be carried in and the belt to be worn at their waistline. Poncho. Shoe shine kit, basically brush, black polish and such, and there's an application brush on the bottom there. No edge dressing or boot dye. Okay, the reason for that is because it's wet, it gets on the soles of the shoes, the cadets walk through the barracks, they leave black marks all over the place, all right? Do not have them bring edge dressing or black boot dye. And besides, it often always gets spilled on the barracks floor, and we got to clean that mess up. All right? Laundry bag. Strongly recommend a mesh laundry bag. Why? Because your senior members are going to be training officers for your cadets. There's going to be one assigned per flight. A flight's anything from 10 to 20 cadets. So that one senior member is going to be doing the laundry for all those 10 to 20 cadets, all right? The best way to do that is to have a mesh bag. That way the cadet just can keep the stuff in the mesh bag, goes in the washer, the dryer, it goes to the cadet. The problem, if they have anything but a mesh bag, you're going to have to dump all those contents in the washer along with other cadet stuff, and it gets mixed up during the week, and we usually get excess clothes at the end of the week that cadets don't have a tendency to claim. All right, 6-inch ruler, at least 6 inches, and 6 hangers to hang uniforms up in their wall locker. Okay, and this is a form, what's this here? It's a CAP Form 163 for the prescription drugs, if they are bringing prescription drugs. Ziploc bag. During the shakedown, we search through all their stuff and we look for any contraband, anything they should not have with them, right? And we'll cover that later on. Well, they provide us a 1-gallon Ziploc bag, so if they do have any contraband, they put their name on the bag. That's what the Sharpie is for. They dump the contents in, we lock it down, and of course we reissue them the stuff at the end of the week. All right, let's talk about the bedding and other options. Okay, pillow, and with a white pillow or a pillowcase, any color is fine, preferably white or a solid color. 2 sheets, right, for the bed, preferably white. A blanket. You can bring a sleeping bag. I don't completely recommend that. Sometimes cadets who sleep in sleeping bags have a tendency of falling out of the bed. They're in a new place, all right? And inside of a sleeping bag, you don't really have the opportunity to get your hands out to actually stop your fall. Okay, there's a reason I have this picture up here. On Friday, after the barbecue, we're going to have a cadet social, all right? They can wear this uniform that I'm wearing right now, right? Or as you see with that one cadet, just add a tie to it to dress it up a little bit. The cadet to the far left has a jacket on. That's an optional item. It's called a Class A jacket. I'm not asking you to purchase one for your cadet, but if they have that type of jacket and want to wear it, they can bring it to the encampment, wear it at the banquet. And you see the female cadet in the center, she's wearing a gown. Females are authorized to wear gowns in good taste, or they can wear a uniform, all right? But make sure it's in good taste. All right, sewing kit, these are optional items, okay? They don't have to have them. A lint roller, optional item. Black sunglasses, conservative. And of course, as you can see, we want moleskin or Band-Aids in the event that their feet become blistered or sored, right? Again, those last items on that list are optional items. Okay, these here are the items that are not authorized to be at the, so just go through this list before you guys take off and arrive to where we're at and stuff, and just any of those items just remove from their luggage, because we're going to go through their stuff and we're essentially going to take it and pretty much hold it for them for the 8 days and then reissue it back to them. Okay, driving on Fort Jackson. Okay, there's the front gate. You're going to be going into gate number 2, all right? And I'll be providing some specific directions on that. This is a map. Something to be aware of at Fort Jackson, some of the road names have changed. That road right there, it brings you straight to where we're at, which is the 3rd Battalion, 34th Infantry. The road was called, Forest Road, and then it became Dixie Road. Now it's just called Hirschgen Forest Road. Hirschgen Forest Road. And you'd be looking for this sign. This is the place that we're training at, the 3rd Battalion, 34th Infantry Regiment. This sign's right there on the street. And this is here where you check in at. That basically is the first building that they're showing up to it, and the barracks are behind that building. But you will pull into that driveway, we'll you'll get out of the vehicle, and we'll process your cadet through. Okay, this is important. Rules for driving on Fort Jackson. If you don't see speed limit sign, just keep it at 30 miles an hour. When you're passing troops, you have to reduce your speed to 10 miles an hour, and this is strongly enforced. So, like I said, you only have an 8-minute drive once you get on base to show up to our location, so you should be able to cut down to 10 miles an hour if you see a troop movement or formations. Whenever your whenever your wipers are on, your headlights need to be on. Of course, they don't have police on post. It's going to be MPs that'll be pulling over and giving you a ticket or a citation if something happens in violation of these rules. No parking on the grass, okay? Just reserved lots only. Music, no loud music. You can't hear it beyond 120 feet from your vehicle. Believe me, these MPs they're itching to write tickets, so don't give them an excuse, please. Okay, seatbelts obviously are mandatory. And of course, for child restraints, these are what the requirements are. They're also the same requirements for South Carolina law, by the way. Finally, hands-free. Essentially, you don't use a cell phone, okay? If you have to, you can use it hands-free cell phone. I will warn you, though, I had a soldier one time think that she could actually just use it on speaker mode and talk to it like that, okay? She still got a ticket, okay? Make sure it's something that's integrated into your car system. Okay, arrival. As most important is get there as soon as possible. We're going to have a busy day. We'd love to get as many cadets through at the beginning as humanly possible. Offload quickly. Again, it's going to be a lot of people traveling in that day, so please be quick to offload. Questions and answers. So you're going to have other senior members there that will be able to answer any questions you might have. That's what we're there for. Haircut. Okay, this is going to be a challenge. The cadet needs to show up in the correct military haircut with their uniform, right? Something like I'm wearing. It doesn't need to be buzzed unless they want their heads buzzed short like that. Basically, the hair doesn't, or the sideburns don't extend beyond the opening of the ear. Hair is tapered in the back, okay? No more than 4 inches in length. Obviously, should not be coming down to the eyebrows. Females also have, as you notice there, are allowed ponytails now, but it has to meet the standard. It can't go below the plane of the shoulder blades if you were to draw an invisible line. So if they show up and their haircut is not correct, we're going to have them go get a haircut before we can even sign them in. Why? They're wearing U.S. Air Force uniforms, okay? That's a privilege that the Air Force gives us, provided we actually wear it correctly within standards. That means we have the right haircut, we wear the uniform correctly. It's an insult to the uniform if I was to walk around like one of the Beatles, all right? It's just not right. But again, please get the haircut that morning, or excuse me, soon to the beginning of this. And I know a lot of people like to push limitations when it comes to haircuts. You don't want to be that person because you might find yourself having to go to a barber shop. You're there for just a week, okay? It's going to grow back pretty much somewhat towards the end. Okay, now if you're dropping off your cadet, that's great. We'll have a chance to talk with me and you. But if someone else is dropping off your cadet, i.e. your squadrons possibly has a bunch of cadets traveling down the van, or maybe you have a friend who also has a cadet and she or he is going to take her cadet to Fort Jackson, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to have to call you, the parent, to say that they got there safely, all right? We have responsibility. We want to make sure we have continuity. Okay, graduation. This is our favorite part, end of the week on a Saturday, all right? Okay, there's a stadium field, it's called Hilton Field, and when you go through the front gate, there's a blue line that's literally drawn from the front gate to Hilton Field. Why? Because anybody who graduates Fort Jackson graduates at Hilton Field, with the exception of adverse weather, rainy weather, right? And that's why the military put a blue line that goes straight from the gate, straight to the field, so you can't get lost, right? But I want you to have some mile markers to look at when you see that M4 Sherman tank up there to the top left, or that Stouch to the bottom left of Andrew Jackson. Those two items serve as good mile markers for you to identify that you're at that location. Now, if we have adverse weather, i.e. it's raining out, we will move graduation into the post theater. And these are the directions to the post theater. As you can see in the top left, it's pretty spacious and pretty professional looking. So Hopefully we do it outdoors. If not, we'll be doing it in the post theater, but you'll know in advance. All right, well, I appreciate you paying attention, or excuse me, listening to our class on South Carolina Wing Encampment 2025 Fort Jackson. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. We'll make sure that you have points of contacts, telephone numbers, and other information if you need to ask more questions. But again, we're going to have opportunities to readdress some questions if you have any in the future. Thanks for listening, and I'm looking forward to the summer. All right, have a good day.